Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast, where a father and son break down all things Bears. From Soldier Field to Sunday Showdowns, I'm your host here, Dylan Weaver, and as always, joined here by my dad. Well, Dad, regular season wraps up. The Bears fall short to the Lions 19-16 despite a second half late push effort. Used to what we're seeing in the Bears, I wonder what their fourth quarter stat line is compared to their opponents because they outscore them like crazy when it comes to the fourth quarter, but once again, off to a way too slow of a start. Honestly, crushes them later in the game. Defense got off to a rough start, and both offense and defense played a lot better in the second half, but ultimately just too little, too late was honestly the message of today. And honestly, there's a lot of stuff to break down, but I just feel like the effort, even Ben Johnson said it at halftime to one of the reporters, the effort today just was not there. He said this was their easiest installation, probably just kept it basic, doesn't want to show his hand before the playoffs. But at the end of the day, just a terrible lack of execution by the players. There's several plays that you can look at, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But what are just your initial thoughts after watching that game?
Before I give those, I want to look at the positives because I got a lot of negatives from that game. Caleb Williams, though, 3,942 yards, career high for him in the NFL. Obviously broke the Bears' single-season passing record, passing up Eric Kramer, 58 yards shy of 4,000. We're going to have to wait till next year for that one. 27 passing touchdowns. He was 2 away from tying the Bears' all-time record of 29. And just 3 away from breaking it, another record. Sacks, remember all the sacks he took last year, all 68 of them?
I think he finished with 24 or 25. What was it?
23 sacks this year.
Well, they got to add the one from tonight. It's 24. He had 23.
It's 23.
He had 23 going into today. Okay, the ESPN app, sometimes it takes an extra day to update.
I'm not on ESPN, baby.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
But anyways, phenomenal season from Caleb Williams, right? I mean, there's ups, there's downs, there's woulda, shoulda, couldas, but you look at what he's done from year one under the Eberflus regime to year 2 under Ben Johnson. Huge improvement. So excited. The future is definitely bright for this Bears team. Can't wait for the draft and to address the frickin' defense. That defense, I don't know what it is. I mean, we're in trouble on defense, even with the draft, and I don't know what, we talked about trade packages and stuff earlier, but we got to do some of that defense because that defense, I mean, they just give up too many yards and obviously too many points. But enough with that. I will echo your sentiments. You look at this game and I don't know. I don't know. You said the easiest installment. I don't know what that offensive game plan looked like to be an easy installment because the first half was horrible. We had 3 and outs, couldn't throw the ball, we couldn't catch the ball, couldn't run the ball. And I thought for sure, and we talked about this in the pregame, we thought this was going to be a high yardage situation when it came to Caleb. Just simply because that secondary was depleted for the Lions, and for whatever reason, we wanted to run the ball, and it just wasn't working. And even the run plays we were running, there was one play, I don't know if you caught it. We ran right up the middle, but there was a wide gap off the left guard or left tackle over there, and for whatever reason, we ran right into the pile versus breaking it out to the left and shooting the gap there. And that could have been a huge run for us. But for whatever reason, I don't think in the first half and maybe even all the way through the third quarter, it did not look like the Bears were trying. It looked like they were, just kind of out there, kind of walking through almost like a practice run because maybe because they were in the playoffs and they felt, take the night off and take it easy. But then for some reason, as always, fourth quarter, we come alive. And I don't know if they were watching scoreboards for the other game between the Commanders and the Eagles. and got a little worried they were going to drop to that 3 seed, but disappointed going against your old team and the team that really, that hung that 50 burger on us on week 2. I thought we would have had a way better performance.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's just a little confusing for me watching the game, especially the way it started off with, the Lions do their thing. They drive down the field, but the defense, at the end of the day, they do hold them to a field goal. That's good. We don't want to give up touchdowns. We talked about it last week. The 49ers were 5 for 5 in the red zone. And my thing was, we've been asking Ben Johnson to start off some of these games running the ball against particular opponents. The team where you really don't need to run the ball off the start because of their defense backfield, like we talked about in the pregame, being banged up, we're running the ball, which I'm glad he did it today, but that's what you need to do next week now that we know we play Green Bay. Because how Derrick Henry marched down the field and destroyed the Packers, that's what the Bears run game needs to do next week, as they are the second rushing attack. But against the Lions, 7 of the first 8 plays were all run plays. And I get Caleb Williams was canning and killing, so maybe he was killing some passing plays. But still, it's at the end of the day, there's no reason we should only be throwing one pass. And let alone the part that really threw me off, we didn't get Luther Burden involved in the game until the second half. He didn't get a single touch of the ball until the second half. And what happens when Luther starts getting the ball? You start seeing plays happen. Colston Loveland, big day for him today. He got targeted quite a bit. Had some drops today, but, at the end of the day, Colston was still showing up. But it just, the beginning of the game really threw me off. And I'm just like, we thought coming into the game that Ben Johnson, was going to, during the media, he said, if it hits 270, it hits it. I'm not going to force it. I thought he was maybe blowing a little bit of smoke there because, maybe lying to the Lions that they all listen to this stuff too, just like we listen to these press conferences leading up to the week. But it sounded like from the start, he wanted to punch them in the mouth to his old team and send a message, we're going to drive right down your throats, because that's what it felt like. We're just calling run play after run play after run play after run play, and it wasn't working. And then the second drive, we call 3 passing plays, but at that point, it's our defense has been on the field for 15 minutes, and the offense, now Caleb's not even warmed up anymore because he's been sitting for so long. So I didn't really like the whole first half from both sides, offensively and defensively. And Dennis Allen, I will say, he kept trying zone. He tried man. He tried blitzing. He did try a lot of everything. But like you said in the beginning, there's a lot of pieces that need to be flipped and drafted, because whether it's scheme, whatever, this defense, as the games go on later into the season, it seems like more and more film is getting exposed to them and people are figuring out how to take advantage of them. And it's continuously happening time and time again. But honestly, too, we got to get to the point where we're going to call out some players. I think there's quite a few people I want to go after. I want to start with Andrew Billings. It's 4th and 2 in Detroit's territory. They're not even on our side of the field. Early in the game, there's no way Dan Campbell is snapping that football. The play clock is at 1, and he jumps over. And guess what? It results in a touchdown. Yeah. That alone right there turns the whole game for the Bears. You look at that, it's a whole different story. Now, granted, the Lions had the ball at the end. They were taking their sweet time because they knew they were kicking a field goal. But still, those are 7 points right there that shouldn't even be on the board. And it's another possession to the offense. And it would have been just 6-0. It's a whole different momentum swing. But instead, you're giving this Detroit's Lions offense, who has just been driving down your throat, you jump off sides. That is my first bone I wanted to pick.
And he lines up over the ball. So just watch the ball.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're literally sitting right next to the ball. And you can know it's one thing you're in an away game and it's a little tricky, the noise. You're at Soldier Field, brother. Do not – the biggest part of it, too, is it can get tricky when they're on your side of the field because you're trying to get that jump. But when they're in their territory – brother, you do not jump off sides and give them a free first down. You haven't been able to get them to punt the first 2 drives, and then you're here. Like it was pathetic. That part really threw me over the edge, to be honest.
Well, on top of that, too, let's think about the Bears and that defensive line. We don't have a pass rush. So it's not like, that whole defensive line, listens to the snap count and gets an edge on the offensive line and, gets in the backfield and sacks the quarterback. So for him to do that at that crucial time was ridiculous. But like I said, you line up over the ball, watch the ball. Don't listen to the snap count. Your eyes will catch it quicker than the sound travels when he announces the snap. So I don't know. I was disappointed in that as well. I was like, what are you doing?
And lastly, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. I haven't been the biggest fan of this guy the past couple of years since Caleb's been here just because of his attitude. And he is coming off some big games, but DJ Moore, brother, I know you were sick last week, so I kind of gave you an excuse, even though the offense still put up 38 points. Your effort, first off, Caleb calls him in motion a couple plays before. DJ has no clue what the hell's going on, doesn't go in motion, then starts. We get a false start because back it up. Thank you, Colston Loveland, for bailing us out, converting on that 3rd and long. But then later on, that same drive, they throw a deep shot to DJ Moore. The guy that picked the ball was right next to DJ Moore. Whether you are a receiver, the fact that he didn't even make an attempt, to try to catch the ball. He just simply gave up on the play and let the guy easily get an interception that should have been a touchdown.
Because he was in front, yeah.
Yeah, it should have been a touchdown. It was a perfectly thrown ball. He threw it, Caleb threw it over the underneath guy that was underneath DJ. Granted, Caleb did throw it in double coverage, and I did see the breakdown already. Durham Smythe was wide open on the right side of that same play. But the end of the fact is, that pick did not happen because of Caleb. It happened because of your effort. You didn't even attempt. You just said, look, I don't think I'm going to catch it, and I don't think the safety is going to catch it. And what happens? The safety that was right next to him, hip to hip, caught the ball because he finished the play out. You didn't. So that is my whole point with DJ. We've seen his effort, sometimes he has his little moments. Like he has those moments ever since Caleb's been here. I don't know what it is, but
started last year at the Texans game.
Like it continuously just, and it's weird because he's coming off, not last week, but the 2 previous games, he's coming off monster games, like absolutely monster, big time games, saying that's my QB and interviews everything. And then you do that for him. Like,
yeah,
it's just not a good look. And I'm sure he will be getting chewed out in that film room because I've argued with a couple of buddies that aren't Bears fans, and they're all blaming it on Caleb. That is not Caleb's fault. That is a straight effort play of just giving up on the play. And another spot that cost the Bears potentially points. We were just inside their territory, and yeah, we go for a kill shot. And that's part of the reason I understand Caleb going for that deeper shot. At that point, it was 13-0, and we have no momentum. We needed a spark. And Caleb is going to DJ relying on that spark, and he's not even trying to make a play on the ball. So it frustrated me in the moment. And even watching it back, Tom Brady said, the safety made a good play, but he even called out DJ Moore talking about his effort, saying, well, DJ didn't even try. Like, he was right there. He could have easily got at least at the bare minimum a hand on the ball, and he didn't even try. He just simply gave up on the play, and it was pathetic. But those are like my 2 cents as far as, and I'll also go another step further. And these receivers, man, you got to catch the football, man. Once again, we lead the league in drops, and once again, there was about 5 or 6 of them today. Jade Walker, you've been great, so it's kind of hard to tick and tack on him, but Caleb finds him wide open for it would have been a nice 20, 30-yard gain in Detroit's territory, and it's dropped. Like,
I got to pick on Jade too. What was that celebration in the end zone? Come on, just stick with your calling card.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I feel like it gets everyone amped up too. When that one, I was just like, what is this?
When I saw him catch the touchdown, I'm like, yay, we get to see it. And then whatever that was, I was like, no.
Yeah. And my whole thing too is just, but the receivers, Luther had a big drop today too. That when when Kevin Byard got that interception, and I love that play call by Ben Johnson, by the way, under center, it's a quick slant route because they're expecting the Bears to be a little bit cautious. That would have moved the chains easily, and it goes right through Luther's hands. It was a perfect ball. Caleb had to put pace on it because it's just a quick throw right away, and Luther drops it. Next play, Caleb drops back, and I think it was either a drop back or we ran the ball, and we didn't get either way. It didn't happen. The next play, that was when Caleb had the intentional grounding. He was about to get sacked. Tried throwing the ball, but
did you know? Like, I think something happened on that play. I can't wait for the all 22 on it.
Yeah, the blocking he was pressured instantly.
No, not even that. If you look where the ball landed, he threw it in the zone where no defender was. Like, we should have had a receiver there. Like, someone didn't run a route right. Because it was a wide open hole.
No, I think he might have expected somebody to be there, but I think it was on Caleb, honestly. I'm just being honest. I think it was.
Yeah, it could have been. I just want to see the all 22.
At the same time, though, that play was busted from the start because it was a heavy play action, and immediately Caleb turns around and there's two people right in his face, and that's when he stepped up, and as soon as he was getting brought down, he kind of threw it, which is what it is, but it was definitely intentional grounding. And then after that, the Kyle Monungai, which good effort by Monungai, he almost somehow picked up 20 yards. It got like 16, I think. And if you haven't seen it yet on Twitter, during the timeout, that 2-minute timeout before we punted, Ben Johnson said, I should have went for it. But it is a little weird. I felt like I agreed with the punt at the time because your defense is actually starting to play a little bit better.
Yeah.
What ultimately hurt is the punt. It was a good punt, but we didn't have coverage right away, and they get like a 20-yard return, 23 yards. And I will say another thing. Obviously, when a player's hurt, they have to sit down, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it was just a bad time for him to get hurt because Dan Campbell was not calling a timeout. Yeah. It was running clock, and it would have been down to about 30 to 25 seconds, and instead, since we went down, it's a free timeout pretty much for the Lions. They get to regroup, and then the next play, we know what happens. Another deep crossing route to Amon-Ra St. Brown catches the ball. But honestly, just the first half of the game, not well execution. The second half, a lot better. And honestly, I think Ben has talked about how he trusts Caleb a lot, and I think he just got to start earlier, dude. Caleb, once again, I don't think he played a bad game at all. It's just you're starting off 12 of the first 17 play calls were run plays. I mean, I don't know what you really expect, to be honest.
I expect for this playoff game coming up, because we know it's going to be a tough one. I know. Yeah.
Everyone that is like, oh, bring the Packers on. No. Like, brother, I'm telling you right now, I'd rather play the San Francisco 49ers again.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, if the Bears, we can talk about this next week in our pregame, and I'm sure Jack will join us again, but if the Bears lose this game, it could kill everything that even happened this season. It seriously could. It could kill every little bit of it. It really could.
I won't go that far. But I will say this. Ben Johnson coming out of the tunnel with Caleb needs to run beside him and say, listen, dude, it's fourth quarter. There's 3 minutes left. We're down by 13 points. Start playing like that from the moment the first quarter starts. And it would be these games wouldn't even be close if we would play that way. But for whatever reason, it is like a car that's got 6 gears, but we start out in fourth gear, just slow.
It's just disappointing because last week was like the first complete game the offense played from start to finish. Like literally, I mean, yes, the first 2 drives they didn't score, but other than that, it was fireworks from the offense. And then to come out like this so flat for a whole half,
especially against the Lions,
it's unacceptable. And honestly, if I'm the players, I would be not going to bed with an easy face tonight because you know how much this game means to your coach, and you ultimately let him down. I'm sure Ben has been really good about taking accountability this year, and I'm sure he'll take some of that accountability as well. But I'm just saying in general, these players got to play with a little bit more passion for their head coach, man. They do.
Did you listen to any of the post game yet?
I have not.
when I was driving home, I was listening to a little bit of it, and I'm kind of curious what he meant by it. I didn't get to hear all of it, but he did talk about, speaking of the accountability part, he did talk about, I forget how he said, but it almost made you think someone's on the hot seat about all three phases of the game got to play, and clearly one of the phases of our team didn't play. I don't know
he's probably talking about the offense. In this game, Dad, in this game particularly, he's talking about the offense because of this. Listen, at the end of the day, as bad as the Bears defense was, they gave up 19 points. In reality, they gave up 16. It was a walk-off field goal. That is not a defensive loss. He's talking about the offense. The special teams showed up. Cairo had a couple of the dirty kicks on kickoff, got them to start at the 20-yard line. He's talking about his offense. He is. In this game particularly, he's 100% talking about his offense. 100%. It has to be. The defense, don't get me wrong, I think all three fit, or I wouldn't even say all three. The special teams really didn't do anything bad in the first half. But the first half, the offense and defense both didn't show up. Yeah. And then I honestly would say both of them started to show up in the second half.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's just got to be a little bit better execution-wise. And it was really interesting. I'm glad we got that halftime report from one of the reporters on Ben Johnson's part of him saying, this was a simple install this week. And it really does show what I'm telling you. Ben Johnson's a smart coach. He knew the playoffs were a lock. It wasn't everything on the line. He's hiding his hand before Green Bay. He's not going to put a lot of stuff on tape that they're going to be doing next week. That's why it was simple, what he meant by that. And because what he's saying by easy installation, it's pretty basic concepts, and they're just playing to go out there and play. Obviously, still try to win. But
appear that way.
But it was, like I said, as much as Luther has been a factor these past couple weeks, I just don't know how there wasn't more of a conservative effort to get him involved in that first half. Like how we were getting Loveland, like pretty much the whole first half was Caleb Williams and Loveland. That's all it was. It wasn't anybody else. Like I would expect Luther to get sprinkled in there a little bit too, because just the natural playmaking ability he has when the ball's in his hands. So it was a little weird, but.
And I don't know about you, and I don't know about everyone out there who watched the game. When they pan to Rome on the sidelines, jumping up and down, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a coach, I'm telling him to quit jumping around.
He's just excited, man. I'm sure Rome wants to be out there. It's more the training staff and the coaches being like, listen, we know what you can do. There's no, and now it makes sense too. With the basic game plan, there's no reason to put him out there. So it'll be fun. Jumping. Like I said, we talked about in our pregame, it'll be fun to have Rome back and Luther playing together. And honestly, I'm telling you right now, I will not be surprised when they run a lot of that 12 personnel in the beginning of the year. It was Rome and DJ. I think it will be a lot of Rome and Luther. I really do think it will be. I can deal with drop balls over just bad effort of just, what we're talking about. We talked about already, the attitude problems. It's just really not going to help. But let's hop into it like we do on our post-game shows. Just go over the overall stats. The Bears offense, like we said, just a terrible first half, 270 total yards, 430 yards for the Detroit Lions. Both teams had one turnover. Goff had the interception. Caleb had the interceptions. 26 first downs for the Lions to the Bears 16. Penalties, 4 penalties for the Bears for 25 yards to the Lions, 6 for 35 yards. Third down, 6 for 13. Like I said, dude, in reality, the defense actually 6 for 13 on third down. It's really not that bad. The Bears offense, 4 for 11, not great. Fourth downs, 1 for 2 for the Bears, 0 for 0 for the Lions, no attempts. Red zone, like I said, the defense, they held the Lions one touchdown to 4 red zone attempts. The Bears were 1 for 1 in the red zone. Time of possession, I'm even surprised it's this close because the first half we got absolutely handled. We literally only had 2.5 possessions in the first half, but 35 minutes of total possession for the Lions to the Bears 24 minutes. So just clearly outmatched in the time of possession, which at the end of games, it starts to wear and tear on you. But let's hop into the box score. Caleb Williams today, 20 for 33, Off the top of my head, I do not know what that is, but 20 divided by 33, 61% completion percentage today, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. The rushing today, 18 carries for 65 yards, averaging 3.6 yards a carry. Colston Loveland, probably the only receiver who really showed up, to be honest. 10 catches for him for 91 yards and the 1 touchdown. Jade Walker got the other touchdown as well on that 1 deep crossing route that officially put Caleb ahead as the Bears' all-time passing yard leader in a single season. Cole Kmet had that nice catch on a 2-point conversion. Shout out to Cole Kmet, because I don't know how you hold on to that football getting hit like that, but he did. For the defense, Tremaine Edmonds leads the team with Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard all having 8 tackles. Never good when you see cornerbacks or safeties leading your team in tackles. That means they are tackling people down the field. So you don't really like to see that. When it comes to the sacks, Montez Sweat had a sack today. Jervon Dexter had a sack, and Andrew Billings was credited with a sack. So 3 total sacks today. QB hits, nothing really stands out. Jaquan Brisker, 2 pass deflections. But yeah, other than that, nothing really stands out. It really just comes down to, like I said, the offense today, just too slow of a start, man. It's just ultimately too slow. It's got to be better. They also had a chance to score before halftime and ended up going 3 and out as well and having to punt the ball back to the Lions. So just a lot of stuff that it's not going to feel good
next week.
It definitely can't happen next week. I mean, and the run game today, even as much as we were running it, like ultimately we didn't actually run it that much. It was 18 times, but it really didn't look as successful as it has been all year. And hopefully that gets cleaned up, because as much as I do love Caleb Williams, I think the game plan next week is to do exactly what the Packers did to us the second time, but let the Bears do that. Pound the rock, control the clock, wear down that defense. And then when Caleb does have to throw it, let him throw it. But, one thing with Ben Johnson, whenever he wants something to be fixed or be better, it usually shows up better. That's been the reoccurring theme this season. So hopefully that's a sign that this offense is going to come full blazing next week, because they're going to. And speaking of, I haven't taken a look at the weather, but let's look ahead real quick and see, because
it's Chicago. Man. It'll change in 5 minutes. Don't even look at it yet.
Oh my, yeah.
I will say too,
a high of 28 degrees.
You mentioned Colston Loveland, and obviously everyone on draft night was shocked when Ryan Poles announced we take Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. But as the season ends, you look at Loveland versus
pretty
Warren's,
identical.
Well, not really, right? It's 620 yards for Colston, and he got 799 for Warren. But the kicker is...
See, that isn't updated yet either. He was at 622 going in today. So he's really at 7-something. He had a
7-something, whatever it is. But Here's the kicker. We were using Loveland mainly as a blocking tight end. Plus he got hurt, with the hip injury. I think we won.
Yeah.
Everyone was shocked.
I think it's just like the quarterback debate there was last year. They're both good tight ends. They're going to be good players for seasons to come. They have a long career in the NFL. They're both going to be good players. Let's just leave it at that. We know how that goes. It was the same thing with Caleb Williams last year. These players don't play one season in the NFL. Let's everybody relax. Same thing, as much as I like to harp on my Packers fans about Matthew Golden not doing anything and the Packers choosing him over Luther Burden. It's one season. You got to let these players, they're going to have a career. They're not 5th round picks we're talking about. These are 1st and 2nd round picks. Like, let them play their career out, and then we can have those debates afterwards. But I agree. I think it evened out come end of the season. I mean, in reality, who really won? One's playing in the playoffs. The other isn't going to be. So
true story.
It is what it is. But I really just wanted to touch really on the offense, because I feel like they let the team down today. Last week, the defense let the team down. And this week, I feel like it was the offense, ultimately letting the team down. But just simple stuff, man. Drops, effort, knowing what the play is at the right time, coming in motion, not jumping off sides, a lot of controllable stuff. That's the good news, is this stuff can be fixed. These players can physically control it themselves. So they need to put their heads down and get back to work. And, this game can mean a lot because, like I said, you don't want to be heading in. The Bears are now heading in to the playoffs the last 2 weeks on 2 losses. So maybe it's the right punch in the mouth before the playoffs start. But at the same time, you do usually like to go into the playoffs on a high note, which I will say on a positive side, at least in the second half, they didn't tuck their tails between the legs because that game could have really been ugly. And they fought back, did what Bears do, give us another cardiac arrest during the game, towards the end of the game. But it was bright to see the second half be a lot different. Really just the fourth quarter. But now you cannot come out flat next week. It cannot happen. And same thing with Ben Johnson. Do not snap the ball between Cole Kmet's legs to Kyle Monangai next week if we're in the red zone. Just stick to the fundamentals, take the lead on Green Bay, and ride that home crowd, because you heard it at the end of the game. When that crowd's there, it is loud. That the Bears fans haven't been here in a while, and those tickets are going to be expensive next week. So just got to be ready to play next week and don't let the city down. But I don't like that we're playing Green Bay. I'll just be honest. I really don't. It makes me sick to my stomach. But speaking of, have they come out with the days yet of when the Bears are playing or not?
I think it's going to be after tonight's game.
Yeah, because that'll be another interesting.
Because they have playoff implications as well. So
because this week is going to feel like an eternity. I'll tell you that right now. If you don't think it's going to feel like an eternity, you're smoking crack. Like, literally, this is going to be the longest week of our life. Like, leading up to this game, it is going to be absolute insanity. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have it out yet. No. Which is weird, though, because whoever wins, that's from the same division. It's not really going to change the seedings or anything. So you'd think they would already have it ready to go.
Nah,
but they don't.
The games makers of the NFL are waiting for this game to be over with tonight, and then they'll decide how they want to do it for the ratings. If I have to put money on it, it's Bears-Packers. It's probably going to be Sunday night.
Of course. And let me guess, just do not get Troy Aikman on our call. That's all I ask. Just leave him off of it. But it was 2 heartbreakers back-to-back weeks. I really thought after that Kevin Byard interception, I thought Caleb was going to do his thing and get us down there. But at the same time, like I said, it all started that first play. You can't drop that ball. That moves the chains. You get the offense in a rhythm. Okay, we're good. Instead, you have 2 negative plays, and then obviously the intentional grounding, which, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I thought punting was the right decision, so I'm not going to be mad at Ben Johnson especially in our own. If you don't get that, then you're literally just letting them kick a field goal for free. So
right.
I like it, but the punt coverage ultimately just had to be a little bit better. And then on top of that, what beat us all day is just deep crossing routes to St. Brown and Jameson Williams. They continued to do it, and that's what to ultimately sealed the game. If that kick would have missed or blocked or whatever, the Bears would have. I would have believed it. I really thought it was about to get blocked or they were going to miss that final kick, just the way the season's been going, but ultimately didn't go that way. And Ben Johnson's going to have to wait next year to get revenge on his team, but it is what it is. You won the NFC North. Now, at the end of the day, that could have been your last game. And that's exactly why I'm glad the Lions were eliminated before this game, because I had a feeling this could have happened if it was play to get your spot in the playoffs. But it is what it is. On to next week against the Packers. I don't know if there's anything you want to add really to the end of this, but
it's been an awesome season.
It's been a good season. And like I said in our pregame, we will do we're going to do a couple shows this week during the week leading up to it, hopefully to pass some of this time as we wait. Because like I said, it's going to feel like forever. But we will see what happens. Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun regular season, honestly. 11-6, you can't complain as a Bears fan. You can't.
No.
This has been a great season. And as I've said all season, enjoy it because you never know. Things could change. You never know what next season's going to entail. Looking at some of our schedules, though, for finishing in first place, for some of the first place teams that we could have played, I really like the teams that we got, like the Jaguars, who, yeah, they're a good team. They got a good young coach, but not like some juggernaut. The Bills, yeah, they're the Bills, but I'm all right with that. Who's a couple other those first place teams we got? I know those were two of them. I think it's a couple more, but either way, I don't think it's that bad. Here it is, actually. So let me just look real quick.
We got the Falcons, and they'll have a new coach next year, too.
Yeah, we'll play the Seahawks, which will be a good test. That defense is really good. But just like the Bears team's going to change, the Seahawks team's going to change as well. Got the Dolphins in there. Feel pretty confident about that. Panthers in there. We will be playing the Eagles again, which is cool to see. The Jaguars, like I mentioned. We will get to play the Jets again, Patriots, so you'll get a little Drake May, Caleb Williams action next year. And the other good news for the Bears is we play the NFC South next year, so we do get to go play, that easy division that just had a team get in the playoffs with not even having a 500 record, which is a nice thing. But not too bad for getting in first place that it could have been, because some of the Lions games, you look at their first place schedule from last year that they played this year, was insanity. I mean, they had the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, a bunch of tough teams on their schedule. But for finishing in first place, honestly, the schedule doesn't look that crazy. But like you said, you never know what teams are going to be like next year. Everything can change. Look what happened with the Bears. Everything changed in 1 year. But I think that's a good point to wrap it up, unless you got anything you want to add right here at the end.
Nope. It's been a fun year. I've enjoyed every moment of it that we get to hang out and do this and just talk about football. And I look forward to next week's playoff game and how the Bears evolve.
Yeah. Nonetheless, though, it's been fun, Dad, but we'll catch you guys next week. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Scroll down in the description. You can find all of our socials on there to stay up to date. And like I said, you definitely want to follow us on social so you can stay up to date with these episodes we're going to do next week during the week, just recapping the regular season with some statistics and maybe filling out a playoff bracket and going through our predictions of what we think is going to happen. But nonetheless, it's been a fun season. We will catch you next week. But until then, bear down.